several commissioners to come back and see. We hope we have a way to go, and we have introduced the item 15, which is the first of three budget committee resolutions to pass the 2021-2022 budget. When we left, Commissioner Akers had sought recognition, and we had a discussion, and I want to recognize him for comments about the way, how we got to where we are. And so, David, you're recognized not on the resolution, but on a point of order.
Thank you, Chairman. And we had some good conversation because we've gotten this budget, which is very important for all of our taxpayers. And then we went on and amended one of them so we could have some tax rates and everything. And then it was brought to my attention that there will be because I was going to flat out fight the first reading on this tonight, but I feel more comfortable on it because we have the information now. There is a budget meeting, public budget meeting next Wednesday. So as a taxpayer of Sullivan County, I will be there to ask all the questions that I want to ask. And then we will set a date to vote on this thing.
Well, our calendar right now, and as will be published in the paper, I believe we've already put in the paper, is to vote on this on the 29th of June. So we could stick to that next Wednesday with our scheduled budget committee meeting.
Yeah, because we got this late. It's extremely important, and we'll go into all the details. But we had some good conversation. Thank you, Mayor, to try to get through this because this is very important, and we should have time to digest it and be able to ask questions and understand it before we actually have to have a vote. And so, thank you.
Thank you. And we do have 12 days before the 29th. Mr. Vance, you were up next up on the board, Mark.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to ask Mr. Bailey if he could make sure between now and next Wednesday that all the elected officials and the department heads also have a copy of the budget manual, the budget document for 21 and 22. And I'd like to have all the department elected officials have that and hope that can be worked out. I think there's some questions about some of the items in this budget, the final budget document, but so I'd like to make a motion that Mr. Bailey send a copy of this document to all the elected officials and the department heads of Sullivan County. And if they want to come to the budget committee next Wednesday with any concerns or discrepancies, that it can be resolved at that time.
That's a proper motion, but I believe Mr. Bailey would agree to do that without a motion.
I'll second that. You may have mentioned the time frame there, Mark. I want to try to get it in our hands before. It's given us an opportunity to come back and talk to us about it. If the problems look up before then, before we get to the public meeting, the problems better sitting in the office than we can in public meeting, but if they can't.
I agree. If it can't be resolved, they can come to the budget committee. June 29th, what time is that meeting, Mr. Chairman?
It would be a regular 6 o'clock meeting on June 29th.
Is that a budget committee meeting or commission meeting?
On June 29th will be the final consideration of the budget for this year. The budget committee will meet on 6 days from now on Wednesday. And that's the time that David was saying that anyone who has questions or wants to attend, they could attend, and as an information gathering session. But we do have a legally advertised budget committee meeting scheduled then, and that's the best vehicle to use that. Mark,
Is the budget committee gonna meet the 23rd, next Wednesday?
Yes,
At what time?
at 4 o'clock. We've been meeting 4 o'clock for what, 2 months? We have a 3 o'clock with BZA.
Well, are they going to have any other committee meetings after that, so we're not being rushed out of here?
There's nothing scheduled, but I'll ask Angela to check the schedule. BZA met yesterday. As a matter of fact, they're the only ones that get us.
Okay.
Ms. Calton, you don't have a beverage board committee. Those are the only two that
4
conflict.
o'clock next Wednesday.
That's a regularly scheduled meeting, has been on the calendar for, when we issued the June calendar, so it will give everybody an opportunity to be here, hear what the budget committee discusses. Will give us an opportunity at that time to look at numbers. There seems to be a number floating around. I don't know if it's right or not. I don't even want to know it is, because there is a breakdown of that tax rate that requires some, as you know, Mark, you've done this before, the different funds must be funded, so we got to start with the right number. So that's kind of where we are tonight. I think we can pass this on first reading. I think Dan feels like that item number 15 is in the proper form, and the sponsor, Mr. King, has made a motion. Mr. King, before I recognize you, let me recognize Ms. Stanley for a point of order.
Thank you, Chairman. Do we have the certified tax rate yet?
I don't.
Okay. I didn't-
Now, I know, I have, Mark, I haven't asked for it, because I'm not ready to deal with it, and if you have it, would you give it to us?
Oh, yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd be more than glad to, but I also want to defend Mr. Bailey, because the certified tax rate was emailed out from Nashville today to all the counties in the city, so that information is knowledgeable. But as I talked to Mr. Bailey, because you have a certified tax rate doesn't mean that you can actually project what the tax rate needs to be or what the revenue is going to bring in. So there's a lot of testing of bringing figures in and figures out to come up. So out of respect for Mr. Bailey, but I wanted to tell you that the certified tax rate that come out of the comptroller's office by email today is the tax rate in Sullivan County certified is $2.31, which is currently $2.57. Just for point of information, the city of Kingsport's come back in at $1.8783. That's down from $2.06. Bristol came in at $1.856, and it was currently at $2.16. So there's going to have to be work done by Mr. Bailey's office to be able to tell us what the penny is going to bring in. So as we prepare this budget going forward, it's going to be very important to know what the tax rate's going to bring in per penny. So Mr. Bailey explained that to me earlier about how he's got to calculate those figures. So
Thank you, Mr. Vance, and that is what you call a half-baked cake. Okay, Colette, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. When we, for the budget, I know we have to put the budget, put the budget out to the public, and then we vote 10 days later. Is that correct?
Certain items in the budget are required to be published in the paper, and they'll be published 10 days.
And that's, because, a lot of the items in this budget being presented is not exactly what we came out of the budget committee. Will that make a difference that we're putting those out, that they're?
I don't believe so. That's a document that was produced by the council and budget, so it's proper in its
That's
form.
just so, but those numbers get put out tomorrow in the paper.
Sure. Well, I won't say tomorrow.
Okay. But there's it has got 10 days on the 29th, so it has to be in the paper by the 19th.
It goes out on Saturday.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Herschel, you guys be recognized. Point of order.
Mayor, this is pertaining to the budget itself. I want to ask Larry, if I could, a question.
He always answers.
Larry, I want to make sure that I'm correct on this, and I want you to answer. Is the sheriff's department's deduction from last year been put back in?
With what you've got right now, the deducts have not been, that would be presented back to you in the budget committee meeting, to point out that he's requested that be added, and that was simply a situation that he did not put it in the original request, and was not aware that others were doing that, apparently, and we're accepting that, so
So it will be in there for next week's discussion. Okay, I just wanted to make sure, I knew in the administrative meeting that we voted unanimous to, fund the departments back their 2% that was, taken away, and that, I was made aware of that yesterday, that, there were some questions about that, and I just want to clarify. Thank you.
Very good. Before we move on to item number 15, is any more just general point of order where we are, questions, and we'll be happy to entertain them. As Mr. King, you're recognized, and you're recognized on item 15, but go ahead and ask a question.
Thank you, Mayor. And this, I would like to ask Larry, as far as the, increases for the, county employees, I've heard 4% and I've heard 5%. Can you tell me which one of those would be as far as the raise for the county employees?
This document before you has included in it a 4% raise.
4%?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's based on a recommendation by the Budget Committee. And let me say this, and Mr. Bailey's still on, and really speaks to Ms. George's question about the budget that's going to be in the paper. This budget can and probably will be amended right up until your final vote. So what our effort is to, and the 5%, I've heard commissioners that want that, and if they want to amend this budget to include the 5%, this commission can vote on it. And between me and you, I'd recommend it.
At what time do we need to go to the budget committee and then?
Budget committee would be the proper forum
To
to do
start
that, to amend the budget.
Okay.
And members that come, as I say, we're gathering information next week. Budget committee's going to do its legal obligation, which is to make a recommendation for tax rate and for the distribution in the various funds, and that's what they're supposed to do next week. So I believe everybody's pretty well satisfied we're in the posture we need to be in. This is a hard process, folks. Don't feel like any questions are bad. Mr. Street.
Mr. Chairman, I'm confused.
Go get my gum.
Well,
Dad, go ahead, I'm sorry.
well, you just said, or I think Mr. Bailey said we had to run the paper 10 days notice of the budget before we pass it. You're gonna present it for passage on the 29th, but the budget committee, you just said, is meeting on the 23rd to finalize the budget. That's a 6 days, so I'm confused.
No, well, you have a very good right to be confused, and I just said that we make our best effort to publish in the paper what we have based on the restrictions of paper and when you have to give it to them. And so if the budget that is published in the paper doesn't exactly reflect that, I believe we can defend that because the budget is subject to amendment. Do you agree with that?
It sounded good.
You turned yourself off. Okay. We're ready. I think we're ready to go on to item 15, and Danny, you and I will get together and make sure we're sanctioned on that. We don't violate any law. Mr. King, I would like to recognize you on item 15 on first reading.
Thank you. I would like to make a motion that we put this resolution, item number 15, on first reading.
Proper motion, properly seconded by Commissioner Burrell. Any discussion? Seeing none, we're ready for item 16 on first reading. And Commissioner Vance, I need to recognize you. You were before me. I had to look at my paper.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's on the back of 15. We're conservative, we use the back sheet of paper.
They give me one just once.
There's a couple of things that I wanted to bring to the attention on page 16 of the budget document and on the appropriation sheet under council budget. The sheet on the resolution on council budget is $985,289, and on the budget document, it's $905,933. There's an $80,000 discrepancy in that budget. I will go ahead and put the resolution on first reading, but also I want you to also look at the county clerk on the bottom of page 18. The document was presented as resolution, I'm sponsoring, has $1,681,372, but on the budget document, it's got $1,592,283. So there is some discrepancies within this budget, and I want to encourage each of you all to take the appropriation resolution and look at the individual budgets to make sure those numbers are consistent.
Thank you. Mr. Vance moves, adoption on first reading and second. Mr. Compton, Mr. Bailey.
I believe if you look at some of those numbers that Bonner just mentioned to me, you can see, if you look at the council budgets in the detail, you can see a figure there for it, but if you look right under it, there's another figure that goes with it whenever you roll it into the whole department. That's throughout the whole budget. You'll have a more detailed breakdown on the worksheet schedule than you got in the actual resolution. We present the resolution as to how it will roll up when we put it in the computer for the whole department. In other words, county buildings, we've got 5 or 6 different breakdowns right there in it, so they can keep up with different aspects of their operations as we can. And when they code their expenditures, they code it out to the different categories they've got. So you can look at the county buildings in one place, and you'll see a breakdown. In the other place, it rolls up into a much higher number. That's what I think you're looking at on the council budgets.
Well,
And I'm not looking at it, but that's what Leslie told me.
That's correct. Special projects.
so you're talking about special projects coordinator, is the combination of those two?
That's always been in my budget.
Okay, what about down, county clerk?
If you'll look at your appropriating resolution, there are account codes to the far left column on your appropriating resolution are the account codes for each department. If you look at your budget document, those account codes can be broken up into multiple different sections in the detailed budget document because we track some special projects separately. We want to break it apart. So when we put the appropriating resolution together, for each department that may have multiple sections within the detailed budget, we roll it up into one amount and put it on the appropriating resolution. So
Okay.
like, let's take accounts and budgets, for example. If you look on page 18 of your detailed budget document, the very first section there is, you'll notice the account code is 52-100 for accounts and budgets, for a total budget of $905,933. The next section for the special projects coordinator, you'll notice it has the same account code. That's just a separate section within that department. So you have to add the total budget of it of $79,356 to the accounts and budgets total, and that gets you to the amount that's on your appropriating resolution.
All right, thank you.
Same thing for the county clerk, clerk and master, the sheriff's department, the jail. There are multiple departments within the county that have multiple sections within the detailed budget document. But we don't break out that detail on your appropriating resolution. We roll it up by department code.
All right.
Thank you, Ms. Vance. Mr. Cross, you're recognized.
And I was just gonna second what she said. I was actually looking at the county clerk, and it's very easy to see under county clerk at 52500. If you look on the next page, it actually has in parentheses to be consolidated to 52500. And that's made it very easy for me to add those up and figure the numbers.
Thank you. Okay, we have a proper motion on the floor. And first reading without objection. We will vote on Okay, next up, item number 17, Commissioner Gardner, you're recognized on item number 17.
Thank you, Mayor. Motion to approve item number 17 on first reading to fund appropriations for charitable and civic organizations for FY 21-22.
Proper motion, seconded by Commissioner Jones. Any questions? Without objection, adopted on first reading. That, my friends, concludes our resolution, our resolution calendar. Got budget on my mind. But appreciate your patience tonight, Mr. Bailey. Well, Mr. Jones, I'll recognize you first. Mr. Bailey, leave your mic on.
The ones of us that went to the presentation today by, our comptroller, here's two emails that our comptroller in Tennessee, or websites, have established. And you might wanna write this down, because the first one is tncot.cc/COVID. And that's where you can find all the money, every county. You can go down and get all the information on the millions of dollars that are flowing. The second one is the same website, tncot.cc/2021 guide. And this is for reappraisal. Redistricting. To find out, all that's going on. Tennessee went ahead and established this for our citizens, our commissioners, our elected officials. It was an excellent presentation, and, we won't know the final until the end of September. Is that right, David?
That's what he thought.
That we would get the final, so we hope we have a final, how we can use the money, by the end of September. But we got till 2026 to spend it.
Okay, Commissioner Sullivan.
I would like to invite everyone out. We're having our 67th annual Mack Riddle American Legion Independence Day Parade. Man, that is a long title. It'll be on July the 3rd. The parade starts at 10 a.m. I'd like to invite the commissioners out to come march in that. If we've got enough participation, I'll get us a banner. We'll have two students who will carry the banner for us, and we can walk through the Kingsport Parade and probably come on down here and do the Blumpville one and then go on to Bristol. If you guys got the gas in your tank to do it. What's that? Now, we're gonna walk this. The public needs to see that we're a very fit group of individuals. And, so, no convertibles on this one, Randy. We're gonna show them that we're fit and we can do that. So, let me know. I'll send out an email and let me know if you guys want to do it.
Yeah, don't have anybody else that actually wants to get recorded. So, Mr. Bailey, do we have any?
I'd like to mention one thing, or say one thing. I apologize if there's any confusion or whatever, but I have to say that Ms. Bonner put this thing together the last 2 days. Been two principal people in my office that have been off all week, one sick, one on vacation. And Bertie's one of those that's been on vacation, my other assistant. And, of course, then I was out all morning, come in at lunch after the meeting in Johnson City. So I wasn't there to help her. She took all the people coming through asking questions and so forth without me being there, or the other two people. It's, one of them's sick, and I'm hoping she's gonna get better in a few days. I'm depending on some work, and Bertie's supposed to be back next week, but she's gonna have surgery 2 weeks later, so we're a little bit short-handed unexpectedly, but we'll be okay. But sorry about the confusion tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Bailey, and I appreciate the work that they do, and
Let's give
Of course, this has been a year. Let me announce, again, Wednesday, June 23rd, at 3 p.m. before the budget committee, we'll have the building committee. And of course, we send each member of the building committee the information by the archives and the suggested building size, the pictures of the properties, the estimates on building costs, X number. So every building committee member has that in their emails. But I have learned, and I learned in the General Assembly, we'll have that for you building committee members that get here without it. We'll have it for you when you get here. I learned that. It's hard to get stuff off internet sometimes. Your printer runs out. Napkin's gonna run out of ink if you're printing something perfect. So we're gonna make it a procedure when committees meet and have information we need to have, we'll have you a copy here. So again, thank you for your patience tonight. Joyce, push your button. You can't do that no more.
Just stand by. I'm practicing to be reelected.
In the parade.
Joyce, I can't hear you. You can holler at me. This is a big old room.
Okay, there you go. Larry asked me about Teresa being sworn in, and I know Angela sent out an email this July the 1st at 12 o'clock, and she did call me last night, and she would like to have every commissioner that voted for her to come at Bristol.
Yeah. Well, that's great. You see, I appreciate, Darlene heard that. She probably couldn't hear your voice over there, so I appreciate you getting that on record. Anybody else before I gavel this thing closed? We're adjourned.